walking the serpentine path, following the footsteps of the ancestors, walking the serpentine path, making our way back home. Hey ya, hey, hey ya, ho, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho, hey ya, hey, hey ya, ho. Following the serpentine path, life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Serpentine Path podcast. My name is Claire Waudia Seed, and I'm a plant walker, song keeper, word weaver, artesana, visual and performance artist, womb wisdom keeper, and your guide on this serpentine path of life. Together, we'll dive deep into all things related to plant medicine, ancestral reconnection, intergenerational healing, womb sovereignty and bodily autonomy, rites of passage and initiation, time travel, shape-shifting, dimension hopping, the reclamation of our collective earth-based practices, and the ongoing, never-ending cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Welcome to the serpentine path where the ancestors have called us back to. Let's start at the end and find our way back home together. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Serpentine Path podcast. My name is Claire Waudia Seed. I'm your host, and today we're going to dive into the difference between male and female initiations. When the midwives and healers and female elders were all eradicated across cultures, we lost our intergenerational map into the 5 physiologic initiations of womanhood, which are birth, blood, sex, death, and rebirth. In this episode, I have pulled a really juicy excerpt from my class, Motherline Medicine, where I speak directly to that lineage fracture and what it means to reorient back to our bio-spiritual feminine design. Let's get into it. When I was thinking about this class and how I wanted to open this class and orient us is to really place us in reality of what's going on right now with women. And what I see in my own self and what I see with the women that I'm in community with, the women that I work with, the women that I learn under, the women that I'm just like feeling into in the collective, what's really, really clear and really present is that women as a whole at this time on the planet are moving through a very intense collective spell breaking of a collective spell casting of feminine amnesia. And what I mean by spell casting of feminine amnesia is that in every single one of our lineages, at one point in time during different waves of human history, there has been very intense experiences of lineage fracture from our mother lines and our father lines. But in this class, we're specifically speaking to the wisdom that would have been passed down from our mothers. And so I can speak from my experience as a European daughter, right? When I feel into what has been going on with the women of my mother line for however many centuries, millennia, whatever,
I can feel into what happens to a woman when she is pulled away from the wisdom that her motherline would have provided her with, the birthright that she came into this world with when she chose to birth herself into the body of a woman. And what happens with these separations and these lineages fractures when we are pulled from our mothers, our grandmothers, when we are pulled from our traditional land, our territory, when we're pulled from our traditional foods, our traditional plants, our traditional songs, our traditional prayers, our traditional gods, our languages, right? All of these things that were once indigenous to our bloodlines, wherever we come from, and our understanding of the laws of nature and being in right relationship and reciprocity with the laws of nature. When we move through these profound separations, there is a really intense conflict that occurs in the cerebral cortex of the brain. And a lot of this comes from my studies of German New Medicine. Separation conflicts impact the cerebral cortex and the temporal lobe specifically. And the temporal lobe is responsible for our memory. It's responsible for our ability to remember things that have been passed down to us from the people that we love. And so when I look at what I refer to as this spell casting of feminine amnesia, this collective forgetting of feminine wisdom in different waves throughout different territories, in different continents, in different lineages and cultures at different times, what I'm feeling into is this intense understanding of the female experience that is one, separation and forgetting of a lot of our medicine that is already encoded within our bodies. But then there's also the other side of things, which is the reality that it's unsafe to be a woman and has been unsafe to be a woman for a very, very long time. And so as we move through this forgetting of our feminine medicine, we also shift into this survival mechanism of saying, how can I be safe? What is going to be the safe thing? Because I'm looking around and I am seeing the midwife of my village being burned for being a woman. I'm seeing my mother being hanged for being a woman. I'm seeing my sister being burned at the stake for being a woman. I'm seeing my cousin or my best friend being drowned for being a woman. And so what is going to keep me from ending up like that? Well, I'm going to divorce myself from womanhood because it's not safe to the women in his life that is valuable to his family, that is valuable to his lineage. And the way that he does this is going to be essentially taking on more and more and more and more responsibility in his life. That's what makes a man. The capacity to be genuinely responsible for holding more and more territory. And a territory for a man is anything external. It's going to be their job, their home, their finances, their career. It's going to be their woman, their child, who they are responsible for protecting and providing for. It's going to be all of these things that they take on the responsibility of belonging. This belongs to me and I care for it. I care for it. I take care of it. Versus a woman's inherent biological value and a woman's territory, which is entirely internal. It's her emotions, it's her feelings, it's her sexuality, it's her relationships, it's all of her internal world. And her internal world includes her body, it includes her reproductive capacity, it includes her womb, all of this. And so when we're looking at male rites of passages, right? They're very intense because men have to be out here like proving that they are men. They have to prove that they can do really intense things. We look at like vision quests, right? Where men will go out into the wild, into the mountain and cry for a vision and ask the creator to come to them and say, like, this is how you can serve your people, right? They go out like no food, no water, no shelter. They have to survive. When they come back, yes, like you have shifted into manhood. We see men who go through rites of passages and initiations into manhood, like the Sundance, right? Where we see men who are like getting hooked up to trees and getting like their skin ripped out, and they're offering like blood offerings to the earth to prove their manhood. We see different manhood rites of passages of like, I read one the other day that was crazy. It was like they have to be covered in all these fire ants and like stick it out for 10 whole minutes while these ants are like biting them. There's ones where men have to go kill a lion or like wrestle a cobra. Like they have to do all this stuff to prove I'm a man. Versus a woman's initiation actually is already being moved through in her body. The moment that she starts to bleed is when her people recognize her as someone who's shifting into womanhood. The moment that she moves into sexual union with someone, that's when people are recognizing her as someone who is old enough and mature enough to make really adult decisions about life potentially coming through. When she moves into motherhood, right? When she moves into birth and pregnancy and postpartum, that is her initiation into the mother self. When she moves into her menopausal years, right? Her body is saying, I am past my reproductive years. I'm moving into my wise matriarch years. And so her body is already sharing who she is. The issue with our current system is that we normally, within an intact culture, would receive a clear witnessing from our community. You went through that, now you are this, right? We saw who you are becoming, we see who you are becoming, and we treat you as such. Versus now, what's going on in our modern culture, we don't have accurate witnessing. And so our bodies are already moving us through and initiating us through these rites of passages, but we're just not receiving appropriate preparation, education, or community witnessing for our new community roles, our new responsibilities, and our new paths of service. So if we were to look at an ideal, perfect, intact culture that we all come from, who would be the person to initiate us, right? And it would be an elder, a female elder. It would be the village medicine woman. It would be the wise woman. It would be the matriarch, and it would be the midwife. And so when we think about midwives, which I'm currently in midwifery school, I finally bit the bullet and have decided to become a midwife. But when we think about what actually a midwife is right now, we think of just someone who is attending births, right? Attending births, helping babies come into the world. But the traditional role of a midwife is someone who is going to be stewarding and witnessing and holding the container for all of the rites of passages and initiations from womb to tomb. So this is a woman who is going to be doing just as much birth work as she is death work. She's holding that entire expanse of the life and death spectrum and continuum. That is her role. And that's the woman who would be teaching you about what your body is already moving you through. And what that would look like is that she is moving you through these 5 physiologic initiations of womanhood. And the time that you would normally be learning about this is not really going to be in your girlhood, right? Your girlhood, you're just like out there free, doing your thing, vibing. The time when you're going to be learning this is when you're shifting from girlhood into womanhood, which is around 13 to 25. This is the time where we have bled, when our bodies are saying, I'm no longer a little girl. I am technically capable of reproducing now. I'm available for that. We are going through our phases of sexual development. We're going through our phases of reproductive development. We're going through our phases of deep mental, emotional, relational, spiritual development, ecological development, understanding our place in the world as a fertile woman. And 13 to 25, right? That age of teenagehood, adolescence, that's where we would receive deep instruction and orientation around what womanhood is meant to be. And what we would be learning is going to be about these 5 physiologic initiations: birth, blood, sex, death, and rebirth.
Now, if what I just shared stirred something within you, then it's likely because you are the one in your lineage who is being called to reclaim these 5 physiologic initiations for your bloodline. And this is why I've created the red tent, not as a replacement for that village midwife that we've lost, but as a necessary response to her absence. The Red Tent is a 7-week reinitiation into womanhood based upon these 5 physiologic initiations that I spoke to: birth, blood, sex, death, and rebirth. It's a space where we take this reorientation out of theory and into lived, embodied practice so that we may pour our feminine medicine into the world from a place of resource, integrity, and coherence. Enrollment for this online container closes this Tuesday, February 17th at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I will link all of that information in the show notes for all of you who are listening, who are ready to become that future elder that you really, really needed in your younger years. If this is your time to join your sisters in the Red Tent, then you will know. All right, guys, until next time. Ciao, ciao.